Hello, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Laura Diffendahl. I'm the Belize correspondent for International Living. And today I wanted to share why I moved to Belize. Everybody's always got a good story, and sometimes it's interesting to take a minute and explore people's personal reasons and maybe see if they match some of the things that you're looking for yourself if you are interested in moving to another country. And I'd like to ask that if you are enjoying our videos, please like and subscribe to the channel. There's a bell icon, and that can keep you notified every time we have a new upload. And please feel free to leave us a comment below. I will try to get back to any questions. And if you have anything I can answer for you about living in Belize, you can always reach me directly at belize@internationalliving.com. So I'm going to go for the first question I often get, and that was, why Belize? Where else did you look? What were you comparing Belize to? And a little background on me, I am from Cleveland, Ohio, American, of course, and Cleveland is a wonderful city for all the reasons. Lived there my whole life, nothing but wonderful things to say about it. The weather was very cold. I was a little tired of the 8 months of gray weather and clouds, and I also felt like it was just a big enough city, over 1 million people in the metro area there, that it was often like a fish in the sea feeling. And so those were some of my main, before I even started to identify countries I like, those were some of my main drivers. And I did go to many areas in the tropics. That was what I wanted. I wanted to live outdoors. I felt like I had a lot of catching up to do for outdoor living because I had spent so much of my life indoors and making this wonderful veranda that I would then use, a few weekends out of the whole year. And I started to look in Florida and Puerto Rico, many places in the Caribbean, Panama, Roatan, Costa Rica, and many people would have stopped their searches somewhere else because they would have gone to one of those places and that would have been their place. They would have felt at home and that would have met all of their needs. And for me, loved all of those places for different reasons. Loved all of them. Good things to say. I would visit all of them again. But when I landed in Belize very early in 2014, I landed on Ambergris Caye, and when you land at Tropic Air, they have a painted little billboard that's still there to this day, and it says "Welcome Home." And when I got off my puddle jumper flight, that's exactly what happened. I felt like I was home. And when I talked to a lot of other expats here that chose Belize, that was their feeling too. And it's a hard feeling to explain. You may have it, you may not have it, but those that have it come back again and again and again, and you will find about Belize that it's one of those places that you get very emotionally attached to, and I will go into why that is. So we get a lot of snowbirds, a lot of repeat visitors, even those that don't live here full time. We still get a lot of that return visit. So one of the things was, if you're not terribly seasoned, or you're not looking for the challenge of living in a country where you have to learn a new language to connect, Belize is English. It's the only English-speaking country in Central America, and that goes a long way. I came down here also wanting to start a business and needing to connect with staff, and that English speaking went such a long way to making me feel like I would be able to do it so much faster, so much easier, and not have some barriers I would have had other places. It was very important to me to be in the tropics, and also to be in a place where I felt maybe more of an opportunity to have more of a meaningful impact in a community than I was able to do in Cleveland. So, in Cleveland, you can get involved in all kinds of Rotary and church and volunteering. There's a mountain of things you can do. But I've had the experience over the last 6 years of what it is like to be part of a small group who, the profound and meaningful impact you can have in a small country, small villages and towns, a country that is young and it is still in sort of the foundational growth phase. And that was very important to me. That doesn't mean that's right for everybody, but it was very right for me. And as I mentioned, I wanted to come here and have a business. I'm not quite at retirement age, and over the 6 years, I have had a very, very positive experience here in starting businesses. I have 2 small hotels in the country, one in Placencia and one in Ambergris Caye, and one of those has a bar restaurant. So I've kind of have a lot of that international tourism experience by this point. And the country of Belize is still in the British Commonwealth, and it is British law. So if you're looking to start a business, the paperwork, the laws are going to feel quite comfortable to you because it's the same foundational framework as American laws. One of the most wonderful changes about Belize is very, very low property taxes. This is kind of one of those universal positives that you'll hear a lot of expats say. And we aren't talking a small amount. It is a very, very significant difference. And so where the same property in Belize may cost you 100 to 500 US a year for property taxes, in a very popular coastal area in the US, you'd be looking at more like 6 figures property tax. So that it is really significant. And the next reason that I really started to feel at home in Belize, and this is one of those, you'll either feel it or you won't. Belize is the most non-materialistic place that I have ever been. And I found that so freeing. I didn't even know I was looking for that. I didn't know that that was a positive for me. I didn't even realize it was happening. It sort of, you turn into a minimalist whether you were intentionally looking for that or not. And the reason is it's so embedded in the culture here. Nobody walks around with fancy bags or shoes or clothes. It looks quite out of place, and you are absolutely fine to walk around about like I am now, like you're going to a yoga class, $2 flip-flops. I never spend money on clothes, and you can wear a sundress, you can dress up a little bit here and there, but it's just not necessary. A lot of people go around with bare feet. So I really enjoyed that freeing, the freeing feeling of not keeping up with the Joneses and not paying to do things. That's one thing in Belize. Belize is not the cheapest place to live in the Caribbean. In Central America. It is said to be one of the cheapest places as far as a Caribbean atmosphere. And Belize is very rustic and very natural, and the things that we do here for fun are hiking, swimming, going to the beach, having a barbecue, going to a friend's open-air bar, lots of games, live music, walking the beach, walking our dogs. It's things that don't cost money, and you save a lot of money because in the US, to spend time with people, it was, going out for a nice dinner, maybe you go and get your nails done, you golf, you pay for a yoga class, you do a lot of things for an experience, and you don't pay for any of that here. Frankly, everybody carries their own cups around. You barely you have to buy a drink or two unless you want to, give back to the bar a little, which we try to do. So that has been maybe one of the things, not knowing how profound that would be, that has kept me here, and frankly made me maybe even a little bit uncomfortable when I'm back in a culture where that materialism is very important. The Belizean culture I found was somewhat like the Midwest culture that I came from. There's a lot of value placed on hard work, modesty, grit, resilience, leaving things better than you found it. People that come to Belize with the mentality of I want to leave things better than you found it, and it is authentic and genuine, you definitely are going to find an easier path and more acceptance. And I think anybody from a small town, which I've learned over the years now, there is a community watch. People know what everybody else is doing, and they know when people have a good heart and are doing things for the right reasons. And I found that the general sense of values here just was such a natural fit for me. And even though I had this experience of I'm in this exotic place so far from home, and yet my work ethic, my value system fits right in, that balance of I live somewhere so exotic, but yet it feels at home, it's constantly this great balance, and it makes me not take it for granted. And sometimes just a quick trip back to the U.S. and then I get back here and it, will wash over me why I moved here. I'm reminded of all of those reasons again. And when I say far from home, one of the great things about Belize is that it is only a 2-hour flight to Miami, to Houston. But we are now talking, we're in the midst of this crisis we're in. We can't guarantee or know what's going to happen with direct flights, but Belize there was more direct flights coming from all over the country every year. So we fingers crossed that we get back to that as soon as we can safely do so. I also wanted to point out that I spend most of my time right now on the island of Ambergris Caye, which is known as the very fun, energetic Jimmy Buffett Island. And I also spend time in Placencia. And Placencia is sort of a more quiet, bohemian place, much more calm, much less crowded, a lot more like tranquil open beaches. And the balance of those two places is really spectacular, because if you couldn't decide which one you might want for the long term, you can try them both out. What a lot of expats do here is vacation in one and live in the other based on what they want the majority of their lifestyle to look like. And in Ambergris Caye, if we want a little taste of that lazier, quieter beach life, we can take a 20-minute ferry over to Caye Caulker for the day, which is probably 1/5 the size of Ambergris Caye and much more laid back and slow. Their motto is go slow. So I feel like when I do maybe the bustling of the downtown San Pedro or the high of tourist season, which a lot of people will say Ambergris Caye is very touristy. You have to put that in context, because touristy for Belize is not touristy in the U.S. There is still a lot of authentic local culture in Ambergris Caye. There is times that the downtown San Pedro gets very busy, and so when you want that quieter, just less cars, less golf carts, less tourists, you have an option to escape very quickly. So these were some of my main, when I thought about what were my top reasons, these bubbled up before anything else did. And a quick update on Belize, we're about 2 months in right now to the crisis the world is going through, and I do feel it's very, very important to acknowledge that nobody saw Belize being the last one to get the virus and the first one this week to report no active cases in the country. It's remarkable. And the entire country is kind of going, we did this. And it's been, the wonderment, the pride has really, really been touching to see. The one thing we're kind of waiting for, and there is supposed to be some announcements tomorrow, so we will keep you updated. The government is rightfully very proud of the first 60 days. I could not feel luckier to have spent them in Belize. It really could not have gone better. In order to keep it at the level of exceeding expectations, the government has stayed very strict. I'm probably Belize is one of the more strict places, maybe even in the world right now, because even though we have no cases actively in the country, we still have a mountain of very strict rules that we are under right now, because we want to keep it that way. And I completely agree and understand. And also, the whole country, we love our tourists. It's the biggest economy here, and we really want to bring people back in as soon as we can. And that we're in an intense, challenging time, like many places, of balancing what has to happen so we can do that safely. And right now, we may get some more information this week, but I think it's going to be a matter of rapid testing and making sure that anybody that enters this country keeps the Belizean community safe, because that is extremely, extremely important. We very much care that the people that live here stay safe, and that we can bring in tourists and provide them a safe experience here. So we will definitely keep you posted. You are welcome to reach out to me at belize@internationalliving.com, and I would be happy to keep providing all of the information as it comes in. So again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we will be back shortly with more information.